Both Indianapolis Colts and Denver Broncos are going to be well rested for their game here in Week 15, as they're both coming off a bye. And with 4 weeks left in the season, every game is super important for their playoff hopes. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this Colts-Broncos matchup. But before we do that, we are 300 subscribers away from hitting that goal of 6,000 by the end of the year. Let's see if we can hit that goal this week. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win this game and why. Ryan, both of these teams are coming off of a bye and some good performances going into the bye as well. But this is going to be a pretty huge matchup. Essentially, I would say for the Colts, they're a game back. Actually, no, I take that back. They are 2 games back, actually, from the Denver Broncos going into the playoffs here. So really, if they lose this game, then they even lose the tiebreaker and go in 3 games back with 3 games left. Actually, this would pretty much eliminate them from the season.
They'd have to win out.
They have to win out and then hope that other teams win out as well, and then there's other tiebreakers. But essentially, pretty much eliminating their playoff hope. So this is the first round of the playoffs for the Colts here. The Broncos, they can go in and essentially lock things up, I would say, and technically also to keep their division hopes alive as well. As they still have a game left with the Chiefs, which will be very fascinating to watch. But this game here, though, is going to be interesting. Bo Nix has been playing well, probably rookie of the year level type of play from him. This offense is really picking up as well. Defense is playing really well. Want to throw it over to you. What do the Colts need to do going into Denver to pull off the victory and the potential upset?
Yeah, I mean, they have to get Bo Nix off his spot, first of all, stop the run. To me, offensively, I think that they've done a good job since the switch back from Joe Flacco to Anthony Richardson of just keep Anthony Richardson in high percentage throws, get him out of the pocket, short yardage runs on offense. And I think that's the game plan going forward, but they have to improve defensively. They can't allow Bo Nix to sit back there and just carve him up like they did Drake May a couple weeks ago in that Patriots game, because Patriots don't miss a 25-yard field goal. That is a loss for them, and they're pretty much already eliminated. So, and this Broncos team is much better there as well.
So, better. Yeah.
So for me, I think going and getting after Bo Nix, not letting him sit back there and just carve you up, I think is going to be very important. And for me, it all starts in the trenches. So getting after Bo Nix, stopping the run on the defense side of the ball. And then in the trenches, they have to run block better. Outside of Anthony Richardson, they didn't run the ball super great in their last few games. They haven't really run the ball well with Jonathan Taylor all year. But, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it just kind of how I feel eye test wise. It's hard to tell because Anthony Richardson has inflated some of their rushing stats. But
well, so just to your point is, so they're 14th overall in offensive rushing yards at 118 rushing yards per game, 118.77 per game. But to your point, though, with how talented Jonathan Taylor is,
they should be a top 10 rushing team. Well, they should be a top 10 rushing team minimum, with Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson in the lineup for the majority of the year.
That's like maybe top 5, yeah.
Yeah, and so
it should be
they're an underwhelming
setup that they have with Philly, with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley.
Exactly.
Like it should be a similar type setup as well. And I see your point too, because Richardson, he can sell those explosive plays, but is still inconsistent in the passing game. So what you have with the inconsistency, you do get some explosive touchdown plays, yes.
But he has been much better since he came back in. Like, there were a few in that Patriots game. There were multiple really well thrown balls that were just dropped by the receivers.
Yeah. And that, I think, is going to be the thing. Like, when looking at this game right now, being on the road, it's this Colts team. They're going to need to somehow find a way to be more effective in the passing game. Because imagine the two they have this just as a whole for this team. If they're currently 26 overall passing yards offensively, averaging 192.69 per game. Imagine if they added that like another 20 yards or something like that. Like, brought up that average another 20 yards to 212. It'd just be more consistent there. Teams really have to respect the pass. They can't put an extra guy in the box. It's going to only open things up more for Jonathan Taylor and this offensive line as well. Like, just talking kind of futuristically, because I think that's what I think Denver is going to do defensively in this game is Now, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to consistently throw the ball against us here because we're not going to allow you and Jonathan Taylor to run loose. And this is where I think coaching. I like Shane Steichen as a coach, but this is where Sean Payton and the organizational setup that he has done and what he set up over the past 18, 24-ish months has set them up for this moment right here. They're playing like a playoff team. They deserve to be in the playoffs. This defense is playing extremely well, especially after trading off some of their guys over the past couple of years and bringing in really good talent. Pastor Tan, Riley Moss are doing a great job in the secondary. So I think offensively, this is going to be a very tough matchup for Indianapolis here. Not saying they can't do it. We saw Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns put up 34 points on them. And so, this defense can be susceptible to explosive plays. However, Jameis Winston's a more consistent passer. It's weird saying this, more consistent passer, I think, than Anthony Richardson.
And I will say it is so much harder to defend a guy that just says F it and is going to chuck it up down the field. With that being said, there were some coverage busts that allowed some of those big plays for Jerry Jeudy.
There were, yeah.
So it'll be interesting to kind of see what is going to go on there in that aspect of things. But I do think Shane Steichen's approach with Anthony Richardson, since he's come back in as the starter, has been more conservative than hunting for explosive plays. And so I think that is also going to play into the hands of Denver. And just to get into predictions, you mentioned at the top of the video that how this is a big game for Indianapolis because if they lose this is their playoff hopes kind of dwindling away. They're not technically eliminated, but they'd have to win out and have a bunch of other tiebreakers fall their way. Denver is 8-5, so they're not in worry of not making the playoffs as of yet. But you go look, this is the last game on their schedule that I feel like they really should win. And what I mean by that is their next 3 games are at the Chargers, at Cincinnati, and then versus Kansas City. Those 3 kind of coin flips. They'll probably be favored, especially against Cincinnati. But the Chargers game, that's a tough division game. And then versus Kansas City, they should have beat Kansas City earlier in the year, but it's hard to tell after you have a whole game's worth of film to evaluate what game plan can Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo draw up to attack this offense. So for them to solidify them as a wild card playoff team, they need to win this game and then get another one of those 3 at some point.
Yeah. And so that's why for me, I think they're having this extra week. Now they against Steichen and the coaching staff. I just think Sean Payton's coaching staff is just better and performing better. I think the momentum is kind of in Broncos. In the Broncos territory. I think Bo Nix is having an amazing year. I think it's great that he went to this system because I think he's a great example of how, for young quarterbacks, the system needs to be put in place first so then this young quarterback can come in and be developed properly with the right people. Because now we're seeing with a bunch of other young quarterbacks, they just get put into a horrible system. And then a lot of changes, and they struggle to develop. And so he looks like he's taking the right steps forward, and he's playing well. A lot of guys are coming along strong. Who's happy about it the most is Cortland Sutton. He finally has somebody to throw to him.
I know.
That's worth a damn. But I'm going to go with Denver here in this one.
Yeah.
The Colts, to me, I just feel like they are playing with fire. They don't feel like a playoff team to me. They felt more like a playoff team last year with Gardner Minshew in there. And so it's not seeing it really as of right now. This defense isn't good enough, I think, to be in the playoffs. And so I think that the Broncos are going to essentially lock up their playoff spot here in Week 15 with the win.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm going to take Denver here. I'm going to echo what you said about Indianapolis. I think you go look at some of their wins, and I'm a Patriots fan, so obviously I'm biased. They should have gotten their butts kicked in that New England game. New England kind of let them hang around and just had a really bad final drive in that game and should have won there. Their win against the Jets was a bit of a shootout. Their win against the Dolphins, 16-10, was like one of the worst football games I've seen in a while. It was very, very sloppy. And so like this just doesn't, like you said, feel like a team that is playing at a playoff level. Now, with that being said, I do like the developments I've seen from Anthony Richardson. This offensive line has the talent to be a top tier offensive line in the league. This defense, I think, is really where they're lacking. And I just feel like Denver's the more balanced team right now. They had that defensive front is playing really well. This offensive line is playing really well. It's all allowing Bo Nix to come in and play at a high level very early on. And so I think it's just a really, really good setup for Denver right now. And talk about a team you don't want to see. Like, I don't want Denver to be the wild card matchup for my team. Like that does not sound like a fun matchup.
No. Well, and that's what the key to it is. Kind of they're consistent. They don't really beat themselves up that much. While the Colts have been. And so it's going to be a great game. It's going to be fun to watch. A lot of good games here this week. So Denver probably going to win this one.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. Let's wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Indianapolis Colts? Will it be the Denver Broncos? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.